Hello, Stephanie. How are you?
I'm good, Nina. How are you?
I'm great. I'm extra excited today because we have my friend and fellow realtor, Kiara, here today.
Yes, we're so excited to have you with us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
And I've known Kiara since college. We met when we were going to UNF, and we bonded over the fact that my good friend who I'd registered for the class with had a newborn daughter that she had it was her first pregnancy, and who was sitting across from us at our lab desk was Kiara. Also had just had her first daughter, first pregnancy, had a daughter, and wasn't it like a day after Savannah?
Yep, literally a day.
So we bonded really quick, and we've been friends ever since. And we've both, since pivoted away from what we went to UNF for and found ourselves kind of back in the same area, even though it's not. We were both going for biology and
biomedical science.
Yeah, now look at us. But I'm excited that you're here. So let me pull up. Kiara DuBose, she is known as your key realtor. Kiara was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida, where she currently resides with her family. She services all of Jacksonville and surrounding areas and is the mother of 3 amazing children, a girl and 2 boys. She has worked hard to obtain the necessary knowledge and expertise in this business to be able to help you achieve your real estate goals. If you're interested in selling a home, first-time buying, investing, or building new construction, Kiara is your girl.
Yes, we are so excited, and I'm excited about the topic we're going to have today. We're going to be speaking about your career, but also your career coupled with motherhood.
Yes.
Yes, and you're a little bit of a newer agent in the sense. How long have you been doing it?
So it'll be 3 years in September.
So that's good. That's a good mark to talk about because now you've kind of got your feet wet and everything like that.
You're still new, but you're not so new. You're new enough to be established, but you still know what it feels like to still be new.
Oh, yes. And sometimes, people look at you as if you're still new because they want those people who are, 10 and 15 years in the game. So yeah, 3 years in, definitely still considered newer.
Yeah, so we're excited to dive into that. Before we dive into all that, tell us a little bit just how you got started in real estate, how you landed in real estate, a little bit, the behind the scenes.
Yeah. So like Nina said, we were both going to school for biomedical science. I just knew my whole life that I wanted to be a nurse midwife. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to deliver babies. I continued through school. I had my daughter, and after having her, school got a little bit more difficult. We were, going towards those higher level courses, and I just wasn't doing so well in them. And so unfortunately, after not passing one of them twice, I was removed from the program. And so I had to kind of switch up a little bit. I also at the time was working at the hospital, and COVID hit and they decided to furlough me. So I had to make a decision, and I decided that real estate was always something I was interested in. And so I went after it, and I have not looked back since.
Good for you.
Did you know any other realtors in your close inner circle at the time? Did you have any close friends? You were just you know what? I think I can do it.
No, I didn't have any real estate friends or anything. I had never toured a home besides me and my husband being nosy going to open houses. But so I had no prior real estate knowledge.
Wow, that's incredible. I love that because when I got started, I was inspired by a friend, so that's a really good question, Nina.
Yeah, and even though I feel like this is, I've known you for a few years before you had switched to real estate, even though it did seem kind of random, it also doesn't at the same time just knowing your personality, it seems like a good fit even though it did kind of come out a little bit out of left field, based off of your biology background.
Definitely. I think the idea is just, I've always had a niche for helping people. Mm-hmm. And I think real estate is really cool because I've gotten to see that the same feeling I think I would have gotten from delivering babies. I don't know. I never got a chance to. I get from delivering the homes and closing on these homes and helping people reach their goals. That feeling I feel like it would be the same.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a parent, so I might not be allowed to make this metaphor, but a home is kind of like someone's baby,
It's a new life, technically.
Yeah. It's a big change.
For sure. It's a big change.
And a house can't talk back. So
right. Yeah, you might have went the right route there.
Yeah. Did you have any misconceptions about real estate before you got into it that you were whoa, I was not expecting that?
Oh, yes. I thought it was going to be good money right off the bat, and it was not. It's definitely not a get-rich-quick career at all. It takes investing in yourself, investing in your business, and really building that community around you and letting people know that you can get the job done.
For sure. I love that. And I think Nina and I talk about this a lot, or we make reference to this, is like the shows. I love the real estate shows, all of them, the HGTVs, the Selling Sunsets, but wow, the misconceptions that they give. And I'll see that like in Facebook groups, for new real estate agents, and they'll get on there and they have these wild aspirations, which you want. You want people to have big dreams. It's good to be a dreamer, but those shows I think have skewed the reality a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the prettiest day is closing day. Every day before that is not pretty.
Yeah.
Not always pretty, at least.
Yeah.
Yes. So, in this career, what we see is a high turnover rate. Only 85% of agents tend to quit in the first 2 years. So you're in year 3. What has given you the longevity to stick with it and stay in this career?
I think when you first get in, the brokerage you choose is very important because the knowledge and the training that they provide. So my brokerage did a great job with teaching me all of the things that we didn't learn in real estate school. And then also I have a really big family support. So if I ever need anything as far as last minute or anything like that, they're right there. I can call them. My mom will be like, yep, drop the kids off. Go do what you have to do.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is a very nice support system to have. Yes. We don't have this question for the actual podcast, but we asked it to you in your prelim questions. And you said, one of the questions was, what do you wish they taught you in real estate school? And you said, to actually sell a house, so that's good that you had the broker to fall back on and make that happen.
Right. What made you pick your broker? How'd you end up at that brokerage? Was there any?
I Googled which brokerage trains their new agents the best. It's so bad. That's what I did.
No, I love that.
But honestly, it's what they need to know.
And so I had 3 that came up and I interviewed with all 3 of them, and I honed in on mine because my relationship with the broker, the way that interview went, it was like we were talking. It was so casual. It was so nice. And I felt like she was family. So I was like, let's go there.
Hey, awesome.
Do you think she also offered you a level of realistic expectations?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Good.
And the things that, you get what you pay for in this business. And a lot of people don't realize that. But she really explained all of that from A to Z, as far as all of the terms that we have to talk about within the brokerage and all of the details that go along with real estate. She really helped us understand why we pay for this to get what we're getting.
Right.
That makes sense.
Because it's very multifaceted, very nuanced. I don't know the right word, but you can't just go into real estate after real estate school and be like, all right, I got a plan. There's a lot more things to consider that I feel like you don't realize until you're actually in it. And so many things will just come up, like new marketing and how to handle these new leads and how there's just a million things that you don't think about when you're entering in that you're going to have to think about after getting started.
Right.
Yes.
That's another big one. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
Oh, that's another big one, a misconception in real estate. If you were to Google real estate for 2 days in a row, you'd probably start getting ads about real estate. And one of the biggest downfalls, I think, for new agents is they start paying for leads instead of naturally acquiring leads. And that is thankfully something that my broker also taught me in the beginning, was to not spend your money on that, spend your money on, advertising yourself and your knowledge in the business.
Yeah.
So
at the 3-year point, where do you feel like you're getting most of your leads from? Is it your sphere of influence, or do you have a pretty good lead generation system in place?
Definitely sphere of influence. Sphere of influence for sure. Referrals from people that I've worked with before, but a lot of people in my family have purchased real estate with me. So that was a great start.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So we were talking at the beginning about you having small children. So you would have had your last 2 babies while you've been a real estate agent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was 8 months pregnant when I interviewed with my brokerage.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So talk us through, I guess you had the babies, and then how long did you take off before you went back to work? Or was there not a true off period? What did that look like?
Yeah. How'd you handle a newborn and a new job?
Yeah. So I did transition into real estate. I did not cut off my other job cold turkey. I commend people who can, but I couldn't. So I stayed working at the hospital once I got out of furlough. And transition into full-time real estate. So that was helpful. I was a PRN employee, so we don't get maternity leave there. So I had no maternity leave. So I probably took, with my first son, 4 weeks maybe.
Yeah.
And then after my last son, I was working right away. just
Really?
because you just kind of have to.
Yeah.
I think I had a closing 2 weeks after he was born or something like that.
Oh my goodness.
Man.
So tell us, because we have a lot of new agents who listen to us. You say you have help with like moms and family and stuff like that. Is that the key, or can you offer some advice speaking into balancing this along with motherhood? And I know that's a broad question because there's so many facets.
Like, what
to
do
it.
you do? What have you had to like change about your life to be able to make this career work for you? Like, how do you handle all like the randomness that comes up?
Yeah. So the biggest thing I offer to new agents is to time block your day. If you don't time block your day and actually have like a calendar in place, you'll be running around like a chicken with your head cut off. You've got to time block your day and also allow yourself, we call them free appointments, where you put in your calendar that it's an appointment, but it's really just time for you to take to not do anything or to deal with, be with your kids or get your nails done, something to keep you going. Yeah. So that's my biggest advice is do not fill your calendar up with business all day long. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I talk about this too a lot on our podcast is I time block in my son, and people sometimes give me these big looks and it feels very rigid to them. And I'm like, it is the most intentional one-on-one time. Yes, of course I'm a mom. I'm cooking dinner. I don't time block that in. But there are times where I say there will be no marketing business. There will be no social Southern creative for 2 hours. Sometimes it's 8 hours. Sometimes it's 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. But the phone goes off and it is 100% focused on him. Doesn't mean we don't conversate the other parts of the day. Because when I tell people that, they're like, you're a bad mom.
I can attest to the fact that like even when Stephanie's time blocked to be working, like I'll be on a Zoom meeting and I'll see Henry like pop in the back just like playing games on his phone, or like she'll get a phone call and she'll bring his phone over. Like he's still around, he still has access to his mom, but he also knows that mom is working because he's time blocked it, and he knows that he will get her full attention at some point. So I feel like time blocking, it's good for you. It's good for the kiddos.
And he's 5 now. So you have a 5-year-old. They're starting to understand that. Like, mommy needs 1 hour. Mommy needs 45 minutes. And I think they can do well with that,
They try to. It's funny, my 5-year-old, I'll tell her, I'm like, I need you guys to be quiet. Mommy has a phone call. And she'll tell her little brothers, shh. So y'all answer the phone and they're in the background doing like, shh, like really loud. Oh. And I'm like, I understand she's trying, but you're still making noise. But thankfully, I think COVID helped with that a lot because a lot of people are working from home now. So you hear kids in the background. I've called my bank and I've heard kids in the background from the person on the other line.
Oh, okay.
So I don't really like to have it that way, but sometimes it is what it is.
It's a little bit more accepted too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think people respect that, especially I loved that in real estate. When I was actively selling, I really loved that people wanted to see that side of you, and that family, because it gave them that connection to you. My younger sister lived with me during that time. And so she would go to a listing appointment with me, or she would sit in the car while I went and unlocked a house. And people would be like, who's that? And then we could build that connection, So speaking of that, what have you added to your life to help create balance?
So I had to get rid of some of the things, like outsource some things. So I outsourced the marketing because I'm not good at that stuff. So it was taking hours out of my day, or it just wasn't happening. And I noticed a shift in my business when I'm not posting. Also, I had to kind of sit with my husband and, go over how my day needs to be time blocked and how he can help with that. So that has been a big help because he knows that if I'm busy out doing that, then he's going to have the kids or he needs to drop the kids off, whatever the case may be.
Yeah. And so, remind me, what does your husband do?
He actually is a teacher now.
I thought I actually knew. I thought I was just like being like, I'm not going to answer the question for her. I was about to just answer, but I didn't know that. Oh my gosh, dang.
So he has 2 jobs. He's worked in like blue collar work, warehouse work for many years. So he still does that, but he's also teaching now at Oak Leaf High School. So.
Oh my gosh, dang. Wait, isn't that where your dad coaches?
My dad is the athletic director there.
Keep it in the family. I love that.
Yeah, we usually move as a unit. We try to.
Hey, but that's how you have all that support and that helps. That's awesome.
Yes. That's nice. And it'd be so close and stuff like that.
Yes.
That is really nice. So what are your thoughts on this? Because I feel like this is kind of a 50-50 question. Do you do work-life balance, or do you just intertwine your children into your work? Because I see it done both ways. Like, nope, my family's along for the ride, or no, I separate them.
I try my best to separate them. And I have this thing where I just feel like taking my kids to showings is not something I'm comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I know whoever I'm showing the house to, I just feel like they're just, it sounds really bad. I don't want to say it. But
No, you're fine.
It's almost like a distraction from my work.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm holding my son and he's trying to grab the curtain, I can't tell you what age the roof is, or, you know what I mean? I get kind of distracted with that. So, and with my littles being so small in age or young in age, they will be crawling around on the floor or on the couches or something.
Yeah.
And so I try not to intertwine that. So I separate.
How do you feel about so you just said you outsource your marketing. What if your marketing person was like, hey, we want to have more of like a personal voice to your Instagram. Start sending some pictures of your kiddos playing in the backyard. How do you feel about that? Are you comfortable with that? Or you're like,
I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
Because I want to be the relatable person.
Right.
I don't want to look perfect online.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Authentic.
So, yeah.
For sure. That is our approach. I always say that is your personal brand. Imperfections vulnerability builds connection so fast,
Yes.
and when mothers can see like this girl is out here trying just like I am, and whatever, even if she's in a different industry, that vulnerability is so
Right. Because
so
if you can be
powerful.
honest about things that, I don't want to say like negatives, but if you can always be honest, then, people can expect honesty. So even if like something sounds really great, someone that I know is not always honest, I might be like, is it that great? But when you're always, accountable and are authentic and honest, when it is that great, they're like, yeah, it is that great.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
How has your lead generation changed from the first 6 months to this past 6 months? So basically year 1 versus year 3, essentially.
Year 1, I was specifically targeting my sphere of influence and just trying to get my name out there. So, I was just trying to tell as many people as possible that I was a real estate agent. That was really it.
Yeah.
And
When you say tell as many people as possible, like anyone at the grocery store, anyone you ran into, or like all of your family and their friends,
family and friends.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about me, but the strangers, sorry. Nowadays, people don't want to talk to you like as a stranger, and they see the real estate agent badge and they're like, oh, another real estate agent. So I never really targeted people that I didn't know. I always go after or talk to people that I've known, whether it's in the past or it's a new person. I like to kind of just check in on people, and that's just kind of how I generate leads because people always have a need. So the first 6 months, that was really it. I was trying to learn about real estate and let my family and friends know that I was in the business. The last 6 months, I actually started calling people in my past and just checking up on them. I literally went through every contact in my phone. And I called them, and some people were like, who are you? Some people were like, hey, I remember you. And then some people, of course, I called them every other day. So that was really cool. And it actually did bring business. I didn't think it would. I thought it would just kind of remind people that I was a real estate agent for when they did need me. But some of it actually, resulted in recent closings.
That is an incredible, because that is a very, not popular because people are afraid to do it, but it's always encouraged by your big sales companies to actually do that, to go through your phone. I mean, they say that there's hundreds of thousands of dollars that just exist in this right here. Like if you want to find some closing. So did you just call and ask how they've been, or how did it go? I have to know more because I'm so intrigued.
Right. That's great. I love that.
Yes. I'm like, I have so many questions. I'm like, that's a whole nother podcast, but so let's touch on it though.
Okay. So here's the trick. You go through your contacts, you look and see if there's any text messages between you. You read back through the text messages, see
Do
if
a
there's
little
any
study.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Love that. Love that.
Just see if you left off on any topics or anything like that. And then you call them, you're like, hey, it's Kiara. I never talk about me being a real estate agent. I never bring it up. I'm like, hey, it's Kiara. I don't know if you remember me, but we went to school together back in 2017, literally. And she was like, Kiara. I was like, yeah, I was the pregnant one. At 2016. Yeah, I was the pregnant one. We were in lab together. She was like, yeah. And that's kind of how that went with that phone call. But I literally just go back. I study a little bit through the text messages, or if I put notes in my phone, because I do that. Or if there's anybody like that I still follow on social media, I'll kind of skim through their page and see what they've been doing. And I just kind of follow up that way.
I love that.
And so what reaction was positive in percentage wise? So if you, out of 100%, how many what percentage would you say they had a positive, like, oh, we're excited to hear, like,
Oh, like 95%.
that is so inspiring.
Wait, but what was the answer rate? How many people did you call and you got just sent to voicemail?
So I think the issue was I was doing it in the morning and I would do it at 10 o'clock in the morning. And so some
Okay.
people are at work. So if they didn't answer, I would get them called. They would call back later in the evening. Some people never answered. Or if I knew what their career is, like if you're a teacher, I would text them and we would just text. So that's just, I reached out that way. So some people never got back to me. Some people called me back and then others we got to talk on the phone.
I thought about this so often because I coached T-ball for years before I had children. So before I had children, before I was married, I was single, just trying to give back to my community. So in my phone, there's literally probably 400 contacts because I coached for years that say, Ava's dad, Brian's dad, you know? And I'm like, there's probably a gold mine sitting in this phone, but I don't know how to call up and be like, how's Brian?
So I had a couple of those.
Okay.
Or I had this one, it was like her name and then UNF. Like that was it. Her name, UNF, or her name and no last name. And I'm like, oh gosh, where do I remember them from? I had to remind myself. And so I had one like that too. So I called them up and I was like, hey, this is Kiara. I don't know if you remember me, but I met you at such and such stuff, whatever. Just calling to check in. I remember your son. How's your son doing? And I would say his name. And then, while we got off the phone, I'd be like, remind me of your name again. Yeah. That's like the easiest way to ask people like what their name is. And they'll be like, hey, my name's Brian, thank you for the call.
Yeah. This is so inspiring because I just listened to a podcast about this on a walk, maybe last week. And I'm like, I know I've got thousands of dollars in this phone, but I'm like trying to figure out how to call 400 T-ballers parents.
But you do get, I think, the other 5% was people who were just like, yeah, no, they just kind of, I don't remember you, but sorry, thank you for the call.
Well, some people are just standoffish in general, like... Some people are always waiting for that, what is it, the other shoe to drop or whatever the expression is. So,
and I bet it was fun, even just taking business out of it. I know that was your goal or that was the intention starting out, but I bet it was fun just to see how certain people were doing.
Yep. And then you have some people who call you back and they're like, hey, so glad you reached out to me last time. I couldn't remember what your number was, but I need a real estate agent. That happened once.
Dang. And that makes it all worth it. Because you don't know if they're about to purchase a $200,000 house or $2 million. Like, it makes it worth it. Like, it's... I don't know. It's like rolling a dice that is going to land on the right dice, but you just don't know how much money, Like,
and also I feel like too a little bit like you've already you're starting off on such a good foot because you've already made it easy for them. Like they didn't have to look you up. You came right to their doorstep. Yeah. Well, not literally. Their phone.
And you're not being salesy. You're just wanting to know how they're doing.
Yeah, building that genuine, authentic connection. I love it.
Oh, I could keep talking about this forever because I'm so intrigued still. So how do you envision your business looking 5 years from now? What's the 5-year goal if you have one to name?
Yes, 5 years. I would like to be a top producing agent at my brokerage. We have a lot of heavy hitters there. Number wise, our heavy hitters are closing about $20 million a year.
Wow.
So
it sounds like you have a great brokerage. So it makes sense that you would have great agents there.
Yeah, but they've been in the business for like 20 something years. So they've been able to, build their sphere. But that's a goal of mine. I don't know if I can hit the 20, but I would like to, of course, stay in the double digits, get in the double digits.
Yeah.
And just continuing doing what I'm doing. I really don't want to have to work as hard with lead generation. I would want my business to be 100% referral if I could.
Yeah, we talk about that in our class. Lead retention, so just getting those people you've already closed with in the past to either come back to you or refer to you. One, it's inexpensive because all you have to do is call every few months and say, hey, how are you? And you're good at it apparently, and just stay front of mind. So it's very inexpensive. That's what we try to teach. We also say the stat all the time is NARS did a survey. 90% of people who had a real estate agent liked their real estate agent. They found them favorable, but only 13% reused that agent in their next transaction. And all it was just someone else was front of mind. Someone else happened to be in front of them when they were ready to sell real estate.
Right. And I'm telling you right now, if you continue to, if you sell me a house and then you continue to say hi to me for another year, I will feel so bad if I go to someone else to buy my second house. I would never, I would feel so bad.
That's funny you brought that up because that was the gut punch that made me call my contacts this year. I had a seller literally sell his home in January of last year. And I never followed up with him afterwards. And in April of the same year, he bought another house with another agent.
Yeah, it happens.
And I called him, just happened to call him when I started my contacts. Or actually, before this, because that triggered that. But I called him just because he was on my mind one day. And I was like, hey, this is Kiara. We sold your home back in January. He's like, hey, I bought another house. And I was like, you did what? He's like, I bought another house. He's like, you never followed up with me. I was like, why didn't you call me? I was just so, like, what? And so that triggered me to start calling the people on my phone and just follow up with people.
Hey, and maybe you needed that little trigger because now look how it worked out for you. So, dang.
The whole time you're speaking, so we will just being transparent behind the scenes. We will splice this up to make YouTube shorts and Instagram reels. I'm like, she has given us so many great sound bites.
I've been thinking the same thing. I keep being like, don't interrupt her, girl. She's going.
Yeah, we interrupt each other a lot. And so we've had to really train ourselves. Like when the other one's given like a good nugget, the other one to be quiet. Mm-hmm. So when we make the reel or the YouTube short, it sounds good. So the whole time you're speaking, I'm like, Nina, do not speak. I'm like, she's saying some good stuff, and she's probably thinking the same about me.
And I have a really bad habit of like agreeing with people. So I'm annoying.
Me too.
I'm humming in the microphone like, stop.
Yes. The whole time you said that, I love that story because it's so simple. It's just a phone. It's cheap. I see we have so many people who come to us and they have spent thousands of dollars. And I'm like, man, that phone could get you somewhere, So that is wonderful. So if you had a person that was listening to the podcast and they were thinking about entering real estate as a career or starting real estate as a career, what 2 pieces of advice would you give to them?
So 1, go 100% at it. From the day you get your license, find you a good brokerage and dive into it 100%. And when I say that, I mean, take all of the nuggets from experienced agents, take them out to lunch. Nothing's wrong with, picking people's brains. Learn as much as you can, but don't be afraid to take the opportunity and actually help somebody. A lot of agents want to just study books their whole first year of real estate and make sure that they are knowledgeable. But really, you get the best knowledge from actually practicing what you're doing. And 2, don't let your career run you, because you will get burned out quickly. Make sure that you have that balance, whether you're single, married, or whatever. Make sure you time block, have that self-care time, and actually take your vacations. Give your clients boundaries. Yeah, make sure you hold strong to your boundaries for sure.
Good. How has your husband adapted to this career? Because I am friends primarily, that's my friend group, is real estate agents. And they will tell me, or I watch their husbands when they're at dinner and the wife gets up to go take a phone call and he's just frustrated. Like, how has he adapted to the people needing you all the time?
It's funny because I'll actually want to decline a call and he won't let me decline.
Oh, I love it.
So I'm like, babe, I don't want to answer the phone right now. He's like, that's real estate. Like, how do you know? It could be a spam call. It's not saved in my phone, but yeah, he's very supportive from day one. He would be my security guard at open houses. He would get dressed up and just sit at the open house.
Oh, I love that.
That actually like makes you seem so official too.
Yes.
No, he would dress up in like business attire, thankfully, and just sit there and open the door or pass out pamphlets.
What a gentleman! Love that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was really it. There are times, like I recently got a phone call at 11 o'clock at night. What? I'm in the bed with my husband and it's another man. And he calls me at 11 o'clock at night and I'm like, I just answer it. And I was like, hello. And he was like, hi, are you Kiara, the real estate agent?
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, yes, this is she. And he was like, I would like to purchase a property cash, looking for up to $300,000. I was like, can you call me back during business hours? Thank you very much. And I got off the phone and my husband was like, what in the world? Who was that? So that was interesting.
Yes.
Right. Did he ever call you back?
No, he never called me back. It was
I feel like,
totally like an inappropriate thing.
Right. I feel like especially like, I'd like to buy a cat, like, come on, everything. That sounded a little too good to be true. That was a little weird for 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Most cash buyers don't answer the phone and immediately tell you they're cash buyers.
Right. And also I feel like I'd like to think that somebody that like is really serious about like real estate would have the decorum to know to not call someone at 11 o'clock,
Right.
That is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about the mentors in your office. How has that been? Have you gotten to experience some mentors to help you along the way, or?
Nobody's taken the official role of being my mentor, but I do pick a lot of brains if I'm in the office. And I have friends at different brokerages, and we'll go to lunch. We'll talk about different experiences. Our brokerage has meetings weekly about that kind of thing. So thankfully, the experienced agents have been pretty open with sharing stuff with me, and they're pretty open when I come to them for stuff too.
That is good. Yeah. I think it's a hard career, and if people can just have each other's back. I always say there's 8 billion people on the planet, so there's someone else to sell to. Like, just because you help this agent out doesn't mean you're not going to have the opportunity. Right. So yes, for sure. So on a little bit of a personal note, what was your favorite thing you did this summer with your kids?
Oh, goodness. What did we do this summer? We really didn't do much of anything, honestly. Probably my daughter's first day of summer camp.
Oh.
She's never been to summer camp. I was really slow with putting my daughter into school, camps, any of that, because I was just kind of a really scary parent. So this is her first year starting summer camp, and that was exciting because we all dropped her off as a family. My 2-year-old and 1-year-old, of course, they were mad that their sister left, but it's okay. So I think that was really the coolest part, just seeing her experience that, her coming home and telling me about that. That was really it. I can't even think of it.
No, that's good, because I think anything you can see through the eyes of your children for the first time that's the best. Like, there's no vacation that will ever top just seeing Before we kind of wind up things, we know you gave the advice to the new agents. What do you see? How do you feel about our current market here in Jacksonville? That's a lot of our listeners right now, and I know it feels like it changes all the time, but what are your current feelings on the current market conditions?
So currently, believe it or not, we're still technically in a seller's market, which is kind of crazy, but we are. And when I say a seller's market, it basically means that we have less inventory than demand. So a lot of buyers are out there looking for properties, and we just don't have a huge amount of inventory. And so I would still say it's a great time to buy as long as you can afford it. Really, anytime is a good time to buy as long as it works for you and your family. So yes, the interest rates are higher than what we would want them to be. But if you decide that the home that you like works for you and your monthly payment, then go ahead and go for it. If not, people have been saying date the rate, marry the house. That's an option too. You can get into it, refinance later on. But I really think that, it's a great time to buy and sell still.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. I agree with you 100%. I'm like, there are options with that interest rate. It's not ultra permanent in many ways, and it is an odd time because we are part of so many real estate groups, and to see the rest of the country slipping into a housing recession and then it just still to be a seller's market here. Yeah, good time to buy, especially from you, Kiara.
Yes,
you're in Jacksonville.
Always.
So you're on social media. Are you on Facebook and Instagram?
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.
Okay.
And LinkedIn.
Okay. We will tag you in all your handles. So if there's a listener that wants to find you to purchase a home, they will be able to find you.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much. Oh. Yes. And we hope you enjoy the rest of your kids. They start back next week, or she started today.
She started today. Yep. She gets out at 3:00. I'll probably be waiting there at 1:00. No, I'm just kidding. She gets out at 3:00, so I'll run a few errands, and then I'll go by and pick her up, and then that's pretty much it.
You're not getting judgment here. Stephanie is the first person in car pickup line when she picks up Henry from school. So
okay, because she does it because he's in the age of car seats.
Yeah.
So every child has to be put in a car seat, and that just takes like hours. If he was in like a normal car where they just pull up, I wouldn't stress it. But, to wait 85 car seats strong.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah. This school, thankfully, we talked about that at orientation yesterday. They actually tell you when you're dropping off your kid, unbuckle them. They'll take them out the car. And when you pick up your kid, they'll put them in the car. You pull up and then you strap them in. So they'll open the door, they'll put your kid in, but you have to get out of the way. Get out of the way and then strap them back.
So that is the rule at Henry's school, but I'm going to create a shaming TikTok account for moms that get out. I'm just kidding. I would never do that. But when I see them get out and go around, they're giving little Johnny a kiss, and I'm like, it stresses me out, so I just have to be first in line. It's funny because I'm such a relaxed personality. I'm laid back about everything.
Yeah.
But that car pickup line, it gets me.
I feel maybe I'm wrong, but I think I'm a really considerate person. So when someone is being extremely inconsiderate of me and something I would never do, and then I see more than one person do it, I'm like, there's two of y'all out there. Am I the minority? And then I spiral. So I feel like I'm the same way. Cause like I know that like if someone's gonna be like riding slow in the fast lane, I'm gonna get in the slow lane and just pretend like I don't see it happening because I will get so irritated. So I just have to keep myself emotionally distant from the things I don't like.
That's a good advice, Nina. Good life advice.
I'm excited about the carpool line. This is my first experience.
Oh my gosh,
So,
yeah.
I mean, we'll see. This morning we sat in some traffic. I will say.
Yeah. Did you see people get out?
Yeah. I honestly parked and got out myself.
It was her first day though, so we won't fault you, but you better do better from now on.
Oh no, I'm fine for people who park and get out. It's the people in the drop-off line that I'm like,
yeah.
But I shouldn't judge. I shouldn't. That's bad on me. But I do. And I'm so laid back normally.
It's okay. I'll judge. I think you're better than those people, Stephanie.
Stop. No. All right. Well, Kiara, thank you so much for joining us. And we hope you have a fabulous week. And we wish you so much success in your business.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys for having me on. And I look forward to listening to you guys even more.
Maybe we'll have you back as a guest in a little bit. See how your
I
tour
have
goes.
some serious questions about the phone call.
Right. I like your lead gen. We'll have you back for like a lead gen episode.
Yes, please do. All natural lead gen. I can't do the cold calling and door knocking. That's just not part of my business plan. I can't do it.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
You got to do what works for you. So that's wonderful.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Kiara.
Thank you.
Hello, Stephanie. How are you?